Peace, family. So we're back with another Rank the Tank episode this week, and we're going to be looking at Steady Mobb'n, the West Coast legend. So before we start off, I definitely want to say salute to Billy Bathgate and Crooked Eye, and prayers up for Crooked Eye. We hope he's in a much better situation than what we've heard from him last time. So this week, we're joined with another subscriber from the channel who's actually a special guest with us this week. So we're definitely excited about having you join us. What's good with you?
What's going on, man? The name's Nick Lee, aka New Flavor. I'm hyped to be here, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, and definitely appreciate all the support and stuff you've given us thus far, and continuing to show that support about that online. This is what makes us continue forward, especially with the No Limit fans. Huge No Limit fan and stuff myself, so I wouldn't be able to pull any of these segments together if I didn't have any support from even guys checking them out and feeling the same type of way. So I salute you all the time, man.
No problem, man. No problem.
So looking at Steady Mobb'n, Steady Mobb'n in 1997, they joined No Limit Records and collaborated with Master P on his single If I Could Change. And that really helped introduce the wider world to Steady Mobb'n, and it was the first single for the I'm Bad It soundtrack. So where they went from that was their own album in 1997, Premeditated Drama, which was released in May, and it gave them their biggest chart success, peaking at 29 on the Billboard Hot 200 and number 6 on the top R&B hip-hop album chart. So we're actually in May right now, so I'm going to try and get a lead on when the actual date was that it was released, but we know we're coming up to the anniversary of a lot of these albums right now. So Premeditated Drama, first album of Steady Mobb'n. What was you thinking of this one?
You know what? I'm not that familiar with this one. The Black Mafia one's the one that I listened to a million times, but from skimming through some of the tracks on here, you can definitely hear the more West Coast sound to their voices, because even when you have Big Ed, who is from the same bay as Steady Mobb'n, he still sounds like there's a way that he would sound like he's tapped in with the Miller Brothers from the NO, but they sound straight West Coast from their delivery, and I love Bathgate's delivery.
Yeah, Bathgate was raw. I think, not to take nothing away from Crooked Eye, but yeah, Bath was definitely raw. And you mentioned the same bay. Was that East Bay?
No, Big Ed's from Richmond. They're from Ghost Town. They're from Oakland. I think it's West Oakland.
Okay. We know that they all represented the Bay Area and stuff, but I was just wondering about that aspect. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right when we look at just them having a West Coast sound, because even though Big Ed was from Richmond, he brought some of that West Coast sound, but he had such a rowdy sound as well that kind of went with the Southern beats and that flavor that sometimes, I guess, with a whole bunch of soldiers, you might not have been able to place where Big Ed was from. Some people, if they're familiar, they knew he was from Richmond, but I think with Steady Mobb'n, make no bones about it, when you heard these guys, you knew they were straight out of the West. You could hear that, I believe, that Oaktown sort of style and flavor that they were coming with. And even them being produced heavily by DJ Daryl, who did a lot of stuff with Tupac and stuff in the West Coast and that as well, prior to his days with No Limit.
This is crazy. I just seen you probably seen it too. I just seen an interview with DJ Daryl, and he talked about Steady Mobb'n.
I haven't seen it yet, but between me and you, DJ Daryl I don't know if he's upset with us. I did send him a request for a interview, and some people might be familiar that I did a remix to a Steady Mobb'n track as an homage to Steady Mobb'n. And I actually sent the remix to DJ Daryl, check it out. I thought at the worst he might say, it's trash or it's garbage. He started talking about copyright infringement and sending his legal team my way. I was like, there you go.
At least you got that much attention.
Well, I did. The funny thing was when I asked him about the interview, I didn't get no response, and then I get that response then. So I was like, okay, you one of those ones. But anyway, I'm not going to disparage DJ Daryl. But back to the Steady Mobb'n album, it also featured some other West Coast legends in the form of Richie Rich, which I thought was dope. Hearing Richie Rich featured on the Premeditated Drama album. He featured on a track called Trouble. As far as the features went, you also had JT the Bigger Figure.
Bigger Figure, yeah.
I'm trying to get mine, really bringing some of that West Coast style and element. There was also some other Off the Tank features by Killer K, Marvin Clark, and Collision, and a few other artists that some people may not be that
I never
familiar
heard of
with.
them.
Yeah, I can't say I really knew them, but I'm sort of like yourself. This album, I didn't play as much as I played the Black Mafia album. I definitely remember playing like the single track and a couple of the tracks with P and the No Limit crew on. But as an album went, I played Black Mafia probably a lot more.
Yep. I like that. The West, what's that song called? Let me look. The West to the South. It had like
West to South. Yep.
And it had like Mac and K. Yeah, that song was hard. That was traditional Soldier right there.
That was like that was kind of like a Soldier song. You had P, Fiend, C, Silk, Mac.
Yeah.
And they had C-Loc from the concentration camp who went on to do some stuff with he was all over Young Bleed's album and stuff too. Yeah. So definitely shouts out to C-Loc, he was tight. But yeah, the album, it had 19 tracks. They say if you truly appreciate gangster rap and that sound, then you're gonna appreciate this album. The beats was slapping, a lot of heavy production. KLC, Craig B, DJ Daryl, among many others. And I thought it was a good first album and a first introduction for Steady Mobb'n, coming off the back of the I'm About It soundtrack and stuff. This was something that was nice to introduce them. I mean, in terms of Bavgate and Crooked Eye, I'd say Bavgate was my favorite for the rowdy stuff, and Crooked Eye came with the lyrics pretty mean, different aspects. So I liked how they put it together, like as a duo.
Because when I came to No Limit, I came in like '98. So I missed that whole little first run with like the TRUs and the Shocker and all those albums. I think I was introduced to Steady Mobb'n from a compilation, I think. But I mean, they had the song with Big Ed that they had on Assassin was hard. They had a song, the Soldier Slim one. What's that called? It's about hustling the habit. That song, they delivered on that.
Oh,
they delivered on the gangster. Yeah, that's hard. And then on The Last Dawn, they killed the Gangsta Beat song too. They killed that song. Dang. Their features were crazy though.
You know what? Even you saying that, it's right and it's solid because their features were definitely crazy and they stood out. And I think what was dope about their features was, especially if they featured with like one artist, like you said, for instance, like let's say a Slim or a Snoop Dogg. Because, going back traditionally, a lot of times hip hop songs, if it was just kept at a certain format, they used to often have like 3 verses. So if they did a feature with a solo artist, for instance, then you had those 2 guys on there and they had the other 2 verses. So what was always dope and unique, like I was saying, they had their different styles. So it was like you knew they was both going to come on there and kill it, but they both had their vantage point that they came with, Crooked Eye and Bavgate. So just like they did on the Slim album and on the P album and Snoop Dogg's album, the Games to Be Sold Not Told, they had that track, The Game of Life, which I thought was smoking and stuff too.
Yeah, I forgot about it. And I want to say this too. I don't know if you'll agree, but they really remind me of a UGK in a way. Maybe a UGK of the West.
Yeah, I mean,
to some extent.
I can see that because even with just like the compensation and stuff we're having now, we look at, solid duos that have different styles but work so well together, and then also work well with collaborations. You could put UGK into that mix. You could also put a Mobb Deep into that as well from from an East Coast vantage point. And I think you're right to say Steady Mobb'n from a West Coast vantage point, they definitely had similar accolades in regard.
To a UGK, yeah, because you right, you can't put them in there like that. You can just fit, because they both had that 2 different styles. Each verse was different.
Yeah,
when they featured. Yep.
And that, well, I mean, the Premeditated Drama album, it done quite well as we aforementioned, and he was actually given 3.5 mics out of 5.
Oh, really?
In the source, you know, they said it shows that Steady Mobb'n have those engaging narratives of the hustling street life and stuff. And, so they gave it quite a positive review and stuff. I think I'd give it the same. I'd give it about 3.5 if I was to rank it myself, because the production was tight. There wasn't too much of an overkill when it came to features. They was able to hold down predominantly some of the most songs on there themselves. And then they had a few features off the tank that I just always thought gave it just that little extra West Coast spice, like You Rich, and JT the Bigger Figure.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I'm not the most familiar with this album. From what I heard, I'll probably do the same, like 3.5.
Yeah, and it had this also featured, you know, If I Could Change remix, which, you know, was another big remix single and stuff as well. I'm trying to think now, which was the one that they did that was a sample. They had one that was a sample of the Marvin Gaye song "Messy Me." Now that may have been.
Oh, that was on there.
That may have been on the Black Mafia album.
Yeah, that was on Black Mafia. That's a hard song with Snoop. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.